Hey everybody, it's Joe from greenlightsound.com, and today we're going to take a look at a plugin that just came out within the past couple of weeks from Process Audio in conjunction with Pure Mix. So if you're a Pure Mix Pro member, you actually get this plugin included in your Pure Mix membership, which I highly recommend. And this is Spicerack, an analog style distortion and saturation plugin with a lot of cool tricks up its sleeve. So let's dive right into the controls. So right across the top, we have some basic controls like Preset Manager up here. We've got some settings, power on, power off. And then this is pretty cool. If we open up this console section, we can actually assign different instances of Spicerack to different channels and control them all within the same interface. So you can see right here, I've got Spicerack on a few different channels. And if I move to channel 2 or channel 3 or channel 4, I can adjust some different settings in there. The basic settings like drive, the type of distortion and saturation, mix knob, output control, stuff like that. To the controls of the actual plugin itself, we've got 5 different saturation and distortion types: drive, tube, amp, lo-fi, and fuzz. Input control right here. We've got a gate built in, which is really nice, so you can just saturate the loudest parts of the signal. We've got a plus 18 dB button here if you want to really push the signal into that saturation. We can, of course, saturate stereo, mid, or side signals. Big drive knob here. The automatic gain compensation can be calibrated to loudness units here, so you're not getting fooled by it getting louder. Of course, when you add that saturation and distortion, you're going to add some gain, so this makes up for it nicely. Got a really unique EQ section, which we'll look in depth in a few minutes, where you can cut, boost, filter out, tilt, shift it. Really cool stuff. A wet gain knob, input and output metering, a mix knob, and a final output knob. And on the bottom here, we've got the ability to put this plugin into linear phase mode and to choose different levels of oversampling. Default is off, or you can go 2 times, 4 times, or 8 times oversampling. We'll leave the oversampling off for now. So let's hear this thing in action on a few different sources. First, we're going to start with some drums. I'm going to bypass Spicerack. This is just the regular drum part all by itself. We get the idea. Let's engage Spicerack. I'm just going to leave it on its default setting for now. Leave the drive around 20% where its default place is. We're on just drive here. Listen to what it does. I'll bypass it on and off as it plays. So it just thickens things up nicely. Now let's really push the drive up. Leave it about here, cycle through the different types of distortion. Tube really cuts down on that top end, which is nice. As you would expect from an amp, it's kind of mid-range heavy. Lo-fi is kind of crunchy, full range. A nice fuzz sound. Now we can really dial it up and then bring this mix knob down. Let's bring the mix back to 100%, bring the drive back down. Now here our EQ section is pretty unique. Instead of being a typical horizontal EQ, it's a vertical EQ. You can change frequencies here, boost and cut this way. You can filter the top and bottom out of the EQ, and then kind of tilt the whole thing back and forth. And each of these bands can actually be adjusted. The Q can be adjusted. The actual frequency can be adjusted in here too. This tone slider is great. Just some brightness or darkness, real easy controls for that. You can also change the order of the processing here and have the EQ first or the EQ second. Let's check it out on a different source. This is a bass track I just want to kind of thicken up. So let's hear it by itself with no Spicerack first. I put it on fuzz mode, let's dial it in. bypass it on and off. Let's try a preset for bass here. Let's just dive into the factory presets. Go to bass. Here we go. This one, Bass But Better, is a really nice sounding preset. Here it is without it. And with. Nice, subtle low-end EQ and saturation here on that drive setting. Let's check it out on something else now. Here we've got some guitars playing. I'm going to bypass Spicerack again, just the dry part. Let's put it on tube and just drive it up a little bit. How about amp? It's a little bit too much. Tube's nice. I'll bypass it on and off, starting with it off. Just a little bit more. Just nice to add some nice grit to it. How about lo-fi? Pull the mix knob back a bit. Yeah, so this can be pretty subtle if you want it to be. And finally, let's hear it on a keyboard bus. Here it is with Spicerack bypassed again. And now this time I really want to totally destroy it. Let's go to our fuzz mode, really push it up, and get that plus 18 dB button in. So if you want to totally destroy it with distortion, you can. Let's try lo-fi with that big push. And amp. Tube. Drive. Back to the original source. So if we got it really thick like that, we could pull back that mix knob and just dial in however much we want. Just a little bit of that grit coming through. So there we have it, Spicerack, new from Process Audio. Really cool sounding distortion and saturation algorithm, really easy to dial in from subtle to extreme. So highly recommended. And of course, if you're a Pure Mix Pro member, this comes included with your membership. So check it out if you are one of those members. If you have any questions or comments, let me know down in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already, so we can keep you in the loop as to what's coming up next. And I'll see you in the next one.